Okay, this exploded more than I expected and has been a bit overwhelming with the messages, but thought I'd give an update. The attention hasn't been exactly positive, and this hasn't been the best thing to happen for my relationship, and it's now sadly ended. I didn't expect it to blow up so much. I should have used an anonymous name instead of my real name and our real ages. There aren't many 25-year-old Tyler Lifes who are in a relationship with their SO for 2 years who is 20. Unfortunately, her younger sister recognized this and showed her parents who wasn't happy at all and made the situation extremely awkward. What made it more awkward and cemented the fact that it was me is that they recognized the song. Once at a family dinner we were discussing music tastes and my ex-girlfriend stated that I have an odd taste in music. Everyone laughed and pressed me to play something from my phone of what I like as music, to which I then blessed their ears with CBAT. Her father laughed and said it was terrible. I guess we all have different tastes. Although I nodded in agreement at the time, I was thinking in my head that this is a great fucking song. We are over now, and I am moving on. I already revealed my face on TikTok, but with the amount of hate I originally got I decided to say I didn't have it and backtracked. I don't think this song is that bad, and I had no idea she didn't like it until recently, and as soon as I did I stopped. I didn't force her CBAT, not all can handle CBAT, I know it's different. I know a lot have asked for face reveal and playlist. My playlist I actually burned onto a CD and have been using my CD player. But I'll go on YouTube and try link all the songs in one playlist and share. TLDR made Reddit post and finished our relationship. So today we ended up having to bring our cat into the emergency veterinary clinic. He's now fine. After he was all fixed up and I had paid, I was waiting for the vet tech to bring him out so I could take him home. While I was waiting, I noticed a couple who had also just paid waiting and assumed they too were waiting for their animal to come out. Before my cat was brought out, a different vet tech came out to the couple waiting, carrying a fancy paper bag. My dumbass should have realized then and there, but alas, this is where I fucked up. Instead of realizing that the bag carried the ashes of their dead pet, I excitedly asked from across the waiting room in a bright and sunny voice, "Ooh, do we get goodie bags?" I realized what was in the bag as the words were coming out, but not soon enough to actually stop saying them. The vet tech handing the bag froze mid-pass off. The woman receiving the bag, who was heavily pregnant, burst into tears immediately, and everyone else just looked deeply uncomfortable. I started apologizing immediately and tried to explain, but it was too late. The room was dead silent, except for the sobs of the pregnant lady. It was at this moment, of course, that the vet tech that had been working with our cat brings him out, cheerily proclaiming him happy and healthy and ready to go home. The couple with the goodie bag left in a hurry without looking up at me again. I have never been so fucking mortified in my life. I feel so bad that I made their already horrible day worse. UGHHHH. TLDR, I was at the vet's office and asked a couple receiving a bag of their pet's remains if we all get goodie bags. Fuck. I didn't come home alone last night. I had a girl with me. She was confident and cute, and to be honest, I didn't expect someone like her to be interested in spending the night at my place considering how socially awkward I was during our entire date. My roommate was in the living room when we entered the apartment. I introduced the two of them before excusing myself to use the bathroom. I poop whenever I'm extremely nervous. I don't know why, but it's been like that since I was a kid. For most people, the possibility of sex is usually a source of excitement. For an inexperienced, introverted and socially inept person like me, it's often a source of anxiety. Hence, the pooping. I decided to have a quick shower afterwards. Wash away whatever traces there were of my nervous reaction on the toilet. I must have been in the bathroom for more or less 30 minutes. I knew it was weird to disappear like that, and I was totally prepared to awkwardly explain my absence. However, when I returned to the living room, I realized no explanation was necessary. My date was sound asleep in my roommate's arms while he was still wide awake. As soon as he saw me, he did the finger in front of the lips shush thing. I had no idea what the two of them did in the short time I was gone, but I smelled weed and I noticed glow-in-the-dark yo-yo toys and hula hoops, which explained why the living room was darker than before. My roommate suggested I smoke some weed to pass the time. I ended up smoking too much weed and eventually fell asleep on the couch. This morning when I woke up, my roommate and my date were no longer in the living room. My first instinct was to check my roommate's room. There they were, literally sleeping together. Most of their clothes were on the floor, except underwear. I tiptoed to my roommate's side of the bed and woke him the fuck up. The two of us whispered back and forth like we were discussing highly classified information. I accused him of fucking my date behind my back, whereas he denied that anything sexual happened and reminded me that he's gay as fuck. Towards the end of our whisper war, I didn't know what to believe anymore. I was too upset to think clearly. By the time my date woke up, my roommate and I were in the kitchen, preparing breakfast in complete silence. Long story short, my date backed up everything my roommate said. Nothing happened between them. Sleeping on the couch was uncomfortable and my roommate's bed was not. The end. I was outnumbered and desperate to defuse the tension, so I accepted whatever they said. Call me paranoid, but I'm convinced they fucked, which means even a gay guy has more success sleeping with girls than I do. TLDR, I brought a girl home, left her alone with my roommate to use the bathroom, and found her sleeping with him. For context, I live in a rural area, and for the time I'm saving money by going to a local community college before transferring to a much larger university. Since this is my first year in college, I don't really have too many friends yet, the caveat being a handful of just above acquaintances. The average class size is relatively small, nearing around 30 for a lecture and 10 to 15 for your run-of-the-mill courses. For one of these classes, psychology, my professor likes to use an app for attendance. The app asks whatever questions she assigns, none so far being related to the topic at hand. Some previous attendance questions have been what is your favorite animal, or if you could go anywhere, where would you go? Rather benign questions that you can't really fuck up. It is also important to note that all of the answers are displayed on the board for everyone to see. Here is where the real story starts. I walk into class as usual and pull out my phone for the daily attendance question, which was as follows: what song would you like to walk into or out of every room to? Intro or outro? Me, being who I am and a rather comedic person, see my chance to make a reference to something taking the internet by storm. In all my genius glory, I respond with "Kpat" by Hudson Mohawk and watch as it's plastered on the board for everyone to see. Only to my disappointment that nobody seemed to notice or understand the reference. Since these submissions are anonymous, I wasn't ashamed at all that nobody got the joke and enjoyed it for myself. That is until I noticed what the professor was doing. I watched as she wrote down the name of every song and added them to our daily playlist, which she plays when we walk into the classroom and until everyone answers the attendance questions. Meaning that starting tomorrow, our class will have a personalized playlist each morning to walk into. I feel an immense amount of guilt, as now we will all be walking into this classroom and playing Russian roulette with our ears, and I'm the one to have loaded the gun. TLDR, I fucked up and added "Kpat" to the daily class playlist as a joke. So today I took my son to the park so that he could run around the playground and get some of his energy out. I was sitting on one of the benches that are scattered around the perimeter of the playground next to a woman who was probably a few years older than me. I am not a fan of small talk too. I wasn't talking to her or even looking at her. I was staring off into space when I should have been watching my son, to be fair, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a 5 or 6 year old girl running towards the swing set. She attempted to jump over the swing set and bam. Her feet got caught on it and she face planted. I honestly did feel really bad, but I couldn't help but giggle a little. Now, of course, with my luck, the woman sitting next to me was this child's mother. She looked at me with pure disgust on her face, and I kind of just stared at her, trying to think of a way to justify my laughing. She immediately ran over to her child, and I, very immaturely, decided it was about time to go. I got up and started to walk away when the mother tapped on my shoulder and told me that she hopes the same thing happens to my child. So I sort of snapped and said, well, if your child is anything like you, then maybe she deserved that. And then I walked to my son without looking back and left. TLDR. I laughed at a little girl that fell, and her mom said that it should happen to my child too, and I made fun of both of them and left.